Okay, so today we're really going to dive into The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood.
Okay.
And I got to say, this is one of those books, you finish it, it stays with you.
Yeah.
And we're just talking about a dystopian society that really plays on our deepest fears.
Right.
But also, I think, reveals some uncomfortable truths about human nature,
It's amazing, isn't it? Like how she creates this world, Gilead, and you're like, oh, this is horrifying, but also it feels
real.
Real, yeah. And plausible.
Yeah.
And this isn't just like spaceships and aliens. This is
Right. This is it could happen.
This could be us.
Yeah. And what's so scary is how easily it seems to happen in the book.
Exactly.
It's not this huge violent revolution. It's just this gradual erosion. But yeah, so we're experiencing this whole world through the eyes of Offred.
Right.
She's a handmaid in Gilead. One of the few fertile women left.
Yes.
And she's forced into sexual servitude to bear children for, the elite, the commanders. And what we're going to be looking at is actually excerpts from the book.
Okay.
So it's her firsthand account
wow.
of what's going on. So
that's going to be intense.
Yeah, so buckle up. It's going to be a ride.
Yeah, and I think what's so powerful about her narrative is that it is, this individual experience.
Right.
But through that, we see how this whole society functions.
Yes.
We see how the power structures work, the surveillance, the fear.
And it's all about control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like they take this one woman's story and they're like, and this is how we control everyone. Through fear.
Yeah, yeah, and where she is physically, just the environment. She's living in this old gymnasium.
Right.
Which, you think about a gym, it's full of life, it's noisy,
Yeah, the energy.
Yeah, and now it's silent, sterile, rows of cots.
Correct. Just completely stripped bare.
Yeah, Atwood even she describes the smell.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the pungent scent of sweat that still kind of lingers from basketball games that aren't played there anymore.
Wow, so it's this ghost of what it used to be.
Exactly.
Haunting them.
And even her room, everything about it is designed to minimize her, her individuality, her hope.
Right.
It's tiny. The window only opens a crack.
Oh, wow.
The glass is shatterproof.
Oh,
it's there's nothing in there that she could even use to harm herself.
It's they thought of everything.
They really did. It's,
It's chilling.
Yeah, and then, of course, the uniform.
Oh, yeah, the dresses.
Yeah, the color-coded clothing.
The handmaids in red,
Right.
the wives in blue, the Marthas in green.
It's why even give them names at that point,
Right. It's they're not even people anymore. They're functions.
Exactly. Just walking symbols of, their place in this new society.
Yeah, it's dehumanizing,
Totally. And then there's the wall.
The wall.
Yeah, this is this imposing structure, and this is where they display the bodies of people who've been executed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, doctors who performed abortions.
Oh, wow.
People accused of being homosexual, anyone who defies Gilead's laws.
It's a constant reminder of what happens if you step out of line.
Exactly, it's fear tactics, pure and simple.
And Offred has to see this every day.
Yeah, she walks past it regularly. It's just a normal part of life in Gilead.
That's awful, just awful. And it's not just the physical environment, right? What about the relationships?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're all so strained, full of these power dynamics. Take Serena Joy, for instance, the commander's wife.
Yeah.
She's the one who desperately wants a child.
Right.
But it's Offred who has to go through the monthly ceremony and potentially carry the child.
That's so messed up. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can kind of see both sides. Serena Joy, she's trapped in this system too.
Right. She's a victim of it in a way too.
Exactly. But at the same time, she's complicit in Offred's oppression.
It's they both resent each other.
Oh, totally.
But they also kind of need each other in this weird way.
It's this twisted, dependent relationship.
And what about the other handmaids? Can she, make friends, find some kind of support there?
It's tough because, Gilead, they encourage suspicion.
Right.
Surveillance, it's everyone's watching everyone else.
You can't trust anyone.
Exactly. So even friendships become risky.
Wow, so she's completely isolated.
Pretty much, yeah. And then there's the commander himself.
Okay, so the man she has to,
Right. He's the one with all the power.
Right.
But he goes out of his way to, engage with Offred outside of the ceremony.
Really?
Yeah, he's always like inviting her to his study at night. They play Scrabble.
Scrabble.
Yeah, he gives her these little gifts like hand lotion, which is like a luxury in Gilead.
It's like he's trying to be nice.
Right, but it's also manipulative.
Yeah.
Because he's the one with all the power, you know?
Right, he can take it all away just as easily as he gives it.
Exactly, and it's like he's trying to blur the lines, keep her off balance.
So what's he really after?
That's the question, isn't it? And it gets even more complicated when we start to get glimpses of Offred's life before Gilead through these flashbacks.
Okay, so she remembers her life before.
Yeah, she remembers her real name, her job, her daughter.
Wow. So it's like she's holding on to these memories.
Exactly. It's like these memories are what keep her human, you know?
Yeah, in this world that's trying to erase who she is.
Exactly. And it's like stepping into a different world, you know?
Right.
These flashbacks to her life before.
Totally.
Because we see her real name, her job.
Yeah, like she had a whole life.
She had a daughter.
Right.
And, you know, Atwood, she uses these flashbacks so well.
Yeah.
To really, like, highlight the contrast.
Yeah.
Between who Offred was, you know,
Yeah.
this independent woman, and who she is now.
Totally, because now she has to be, you know, submissive.
Exactly.
Right.
And she does it with these, like, really vivid descriptions.
Yeah.
Like, Offred remembers the smell of nail polish.
Oh, wow.
Or, like, the feeling of pantyhose on her legs.
Like these little details
Yeah.
that you take for granted,
Totally.
and then they're gone.
And they're gone, yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize
It really does.
just how much we take those little things for granted.
Right. Like even just being able to choose what you want to wear.
Exactly, yeah.
Or go where you want when you want.
Yeah, yeah. And we also meet her mother in these flashbacks.
Okay.
And she's an activist
Wow.
fighting for women's rights.
So like the complete opposite of what Offred's life is now.
Totally. It's like, you know, she's living the life that her mother fought so hard for,
Right.
and then it's just gone.
And it makes you wonder, what would her mother think, you know?
I know. And that's what's so scary, I think, about how Atwood portrays Gilead.
Yeah.
It's not this, like, overnight thing.
Yeah.
It's this slow
Erosion of
Right, yeah, like women are losing their jobs first.
Okay.
Bank accounts are frozen, can't access their own money.
Oh.
You know, can't travel freely.
It's like they're being slowly erased.
Exactly. And it's all happening so gradually
Mm-hmm.
that people, like, Offred even admits this, like, she didn't fully realize what was happening.
Right. Until it was too late.
Until it's too late, yeah, it's that classic, like, you know,
Boiling frog.
boiling frog, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, if you throw a frog in boiling water, it jumps right out.
Right.
But if you put it in lukewarm water and slowly turn up the heat,
It doesn't even notice.
it'll just sit there.
Wow.
Yeah. And it makes you think, like, what would I do,
Right.
you know, in that situation?
Would you be the frog that jumps out or the frog that just sits there?
Exactly. Yeah. Would I even notice? Would I speak up?
Right.
But, you know, even in this darkness, in Gilead,
Yeah.
Atwood, she gives us these little, like, glimmers of hope,
Okay, good.
little acts of resistance.
Like what?
So, like, for example, when Offred, she finds this message.
A message.
Yeah, it's scratched into the wall of her room
Oh.
from the handmaid who was there before her.
So someone was in that room before her.
Yes, and it's like this tiny act of defiance.
Right. Just to like leave a mark.
Yes, like, I was here.
Yeah.
This is not okay.
Yeah. And just knowing that someone else went through the same thing. It's
Yeah.
like you're not alone.
Exactly.
Even if they're not there anymore.
Exactly. And then there's Mayday.
Mayday.
Yeah, it's this secret network that's working to, like, undermine Gilead from within.
Oh, wow. That's risky.
Incredibly risky.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Offred, she learns about this from her friend Offglin.
Offglin. Okay.
Yeah, and, you know, it's dangerous, but it shows that there are still people fighting back.
Right. Like organized resistance.
Exactly.
Wow.
And even, you could say, her relationship with Nick, the commander's driver,
Yeah.
you know, they have this, like, kind of secret thing.
Oh.
It's forbidden.
Right.
But in a way, it's like this little act of rebellion.
Rebellion. Yeah.
It's like this tiny little space where they can be themselves, you know?
Right. Find some kind of human connection.
Exactly.
In this world that's trying to stamp that out.
Exactly. But you know what I think is the most powerful form of resistance?
What's that?
It's all in her head.
What do you mean?
Like Gilead, they can control her body, what she wears, where she goes,
Right. They control everything.
but they can't control her mind.
Okay. Yeah. That's hers.
Yeah, and Atwood really shows us how language is so important in this.
Language.
Yeah, because Gilead, they try to control how people think
Right.
by controlling what words they can use, you know,
Yeah.
what they're allowed to say.
Right.
But Offred, she fights back by remembering.
remembering.
Yeah, like her own words.
Okay.
Her own memories. And she even finds this Latin phrase.
It's Latin.
Yeah, it's etched into the wood in her room.
What does it say?
Noli te bastar carborundorum.
I have no idea what that means.
Right. It's interesting because the exact meaning, it's not really clear.
Okay.
But it becomes this, like, mantra for her.
Like a symbol.
Yes, the symbol of defiance.
Defiance, yeah.
I don't know about you, but, like, when I finished this book, I was like, man, this is more than just a story.
Right.
Like, it's so easy to dismiss it as, like, oh, this is just fiction. This would never happen.
Yeah.
But, like, the more you think about it, the more you realize it's not that far-fetched,
Yeah.
you know?
No, and Atwood herself has said, like, everything in that book is based on something that has happened
Wow.
somewhere in history. Like, none of it is made up.
That's kind of terrifying.
It is. It's like a warning.
Yeah, and what gets me, too, is, like, she doesn't tie everything up in a neat little bow at the end.
Right, like what happens to Offred.
Exactly. Like, we don't really know what happens to her.
Yeah, we're just left with that, like, van driving away.
Exactly. Did she escape? Did she get caught?
Yeah.
I need to know.
Right. We need a sequel.
I know. But at the same time, it's like, maybe not knowing is part of the point.
Yeah, like maybe there are no happy endings in Gilead.
Right. And maybe that's what Atwood wants us to think about. Like, it's not always about good guys and bad guys and neat resolutions, you know?
Totally. Sometimes it's just about surviving.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's what I keep coming back to. It's like these characters, they have no power. They've lost everything.
Right.
But they still have to find a way to keep going, to hold on to their humanity.
Exactly. They have to find those little moments.
Yes. Those little moments of hope, of defiance, of just like being human.
Yeah, like even if it's just in their own minds, you know?
Totally, like that Latin phrase Offred finds.
Oh yeah, the nolite te bastards carborundorum.
Yes. Like, what does it even mean? Nobody knows.
Right.
But it doesn't matter.
It's about the feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about holding on to something, anything that gives you strength.
And that Gilead can't take away from her.
Exactly. And I think that's like the ultimate message of the book, you know?
What's that?
That even in the darkest of times, we still have a choice.
A choice, yeah.
A choice in how we respond, how we resist, how we hold on to our humanity.
Because that's what makes us human.
Exactly. And that's something that no totalitarian regime, no matter how powerful, can ever take away from us. And on that note, I think we've done our deep dive on The Handmaid's Tale for today.
Wow, what a book.
Right. And thank you to everyone for listening. And remember, nolite te starts, carbo endorum.